Good evening. Please start. You have to unmute yourself and talk. You have to unmute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Just hold on. Hold on. Yeah. Go ahead now. Now you can talk. Unmute yourself and talk.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Trisha, and good evening, Dr. Olivannan. And thank you for giving me this opportunity. So, I will now introduce this event to everyone. So, this is a students' initiative named as Wisdom Arcadia, where we give a safe space for students to share their views on books and various other universal topics like philosophy, psychology, geopolitics, etc. So here, everyone's opinions and perspectives are given equal importance, and everyone are considered learners. So yes, and I really appreciate two of the participants also. So hope you will have a nice time here. So first, I will begin with my book review. So the book which I'm going to review, it's Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. So this is a part of French literature, and I will give my reason to why I chose this book. So this, book forum, Wisdom Arcadia, it stands for not only just for English literature and Tamil literature, it also includes world literature. So to represent that, I have decided to take French literature. So this book, Madame Bovary, it speaks about lots of themes like French realism and existentialism, hedonism, and it can also be considered as a viewpoint for psychoanalytical theory. So here, my review is going to be how I perceive this book personally. So, Madame Bovary, the background is France, obviously, and then this book takes place during the 19th century, that is 1850s to 60s times. So the main protagonist, she is actually a female protagonist. Her name is Emma Bovary. So she marries Charles Bovary, who's a doctor. So she has everything. She's rich, she has status, she's well respected, but she also has this intense urge for passion and like an intense thrilling adventures. So she is a reader herself. She reads lots of books. So through reading those books, she has this idealistic perspective on love, and she earns for that. So she eventually gets bored with her married life, and then as a result, she has two affairs with Rudolph and then Leon. So these people, though they give her the solace and the much needed passion, it only lasts very temporarily. So eventually what happens is that she is disillusioned with everything, and finally she has lots of debts because she also goes into a hedonistic lifestyle with not caring about the money and everything. She spends a heck a lot of money, and as a result of that, she is in debt with so many people, and to the point where she has to sell herself for that. So finally she attempts suicide. So for me, though, I can relate to this character to a certain extent because I am also an idealist. But I would say Gustav Flaubert, him being a man, I think he wasn't that approving of her, tendencies, because at that time, Burguese women, were expected to be in a certain way. So as a result of that, I think his view as a Frenchman could also be seen. Yeah, so his view as a man could also be seen through this book. So also there's also a theme of existentialism where at one point she questions her purpose. She's in search of what's the purpose of my life, and she goes into like a search, like a soul searching. So and alongside there's also nihilism. She even at one point she gives up on life, which is seen through her suicide. So this book, by reading this book, one can also see how the French society was at that time. Like it was right after the Hundred Years' War. So this book shows how French society was, progressing, and the classism, and how the power dynamics plays between man and a woman. So at one point, she was very powerful when she was, controlling those three men, and she was cheating her husband. At the same time, she was, very controlling of the other two men she had affair with. She had lots of power, which was through, physical attraction. But however, at the end, when she went for money, to the same men she had affair with, they shunned her. They didn't give her the money. So at that point, she realized how, not so powerful she was. So here the power dynamics changes. Like in the beginning, she is the most powerful person, but then at the end, she has no power. So it also shows how, the power dynamics was between the man and women, between men and women in the French society. So this book taught me a lot as well. And this book can also be viewed through a psychoanalytical theory, where, Sigmund Freud, an Austrian psychologist, he theorized a theory called psychoanalytical theory. This can be applied for the character. So there are three types: id, ego, superego. Where it being the intense urge, the instinctual urge; the ego being the moral compass, the human's morality; and superego being how society molds that person, how from childhood they are, said to be a certain way by the others. So this is done by external forces. So here we can, in the character, if we psychoanalyze the character, we can see that at one point, her superego, ego, everything just vanishes. Her morality, she gives her morality away. She doesn't have a conscience. She's like even willing to sell her, herself to everyone, and her dignity, everything is lost. At one point, she's only her her urge to, um, to be in the hedonistic lifestyle was what dominated her mind. So as a result of that, it was active. So psychoanalytically, we can see like that. And then a feministic elements, we can also see through a feminist perspective. At one point, she behaves in an unconventional way, as in she restricts and, goes beyond all that was meant to be as a French woman. At that time, women were, expected to be in a certain way, but she breaks all of that, and she follows her, whatever passion she had. So she was one of the, female protagonist who breaks the barriers in French literature. She can also be called as a forefronter. So yeah, with this, I end my review of Madame Bovary. But and then now I will review another book, sir. I want to review
Yeah,
another.
please go ahead. I just wanted to give a small introduction to all of those who are present. Um, அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய இனிய மாலை வணக்கத்தை தெரிவிச்சுக்கிறேன். I'm sure all of you can follow in Tamil also. என்னன்னா இது ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்காக ஆரம்பிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிற ஒரு ஃபோரம். First,
Yes.
let us first congratulate these two young girls from SRM College, Trisha and Sashi. They are the two people. அவங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் இன்டர்ன்ஷிப்காக வந்தவங்க. அவங்களுடைய ஆசையினாலேயும் அவங்களுடைய இன்ட்ரெஸ்டால தான் அதை ஆரம்பித்தோம். இது வந்து இன்னைக்கு வந்து நம்ம இந்த இந்த தேதியில இன்னைக்கு இந்த சண்டே தொடங்கி இருக்கிறது. இட்ஸ் வெரி ஹம்பிள் பிகினிங். பட் நிச்சயமா வந்து இது ஒரு பெரிய அமைப்பா வரும் நான் நினைக்கிறேன். ஏன்னா பிகாஸ் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்காக ரிவ்யூ பண்றது. திஸ் இஸ் an ஆன்லைன் ஃபோரம். திஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஜஸ்ட் ரெஸ்ட்ரிக்டட் டு ஃபியூ ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் இன் சென்னை. This can encompass students from all over the world. அதனால இது வந்து ஒரு நல்ல ஃபோரமா வரதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு. Every Sunday exactly at 5:30 we will meet, no matter whether it rains or shines, and we will stretch between 45 to 60 minutes every Sunday. சரிங்களா? இப்ப யார் யாரெல்லாம் என்னென்ன புக்கை பத்தி பண்ணணும் அப்படிங்கிறது இப்ப நாங்க வந்து இதுக்கு believe me, we have sent to various colleges. எல்லாருக்கும் இன்னைக்கு நாங்க இதுக்காக லெட்டர் கூகுள் ஃபார்ம்ஸ்லாம் அனுப்பியிருக்கோம். அதையெல்லாம் பார்த்துதான் நீங்க ஜாயின் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க. நாங்க இதை பெருசா போய் பெரிய அளவுக்கு நாங்க பண்ணல. ஏன்னா 300-400 ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்லாம் வேண்டியதே இல்லை. We want to start in a very humble way. Only those people who are interested in literature, யாருக்கெல்லாம் புக்கு பிடிக்குமோ அவங்க மட்டும் வரணும் அப்படிங்கிறதுக்காக. இட்ஸ் நாட், நம்பர் இஸ் நாட் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் right away. But we know hundreds of them are there. We will slowly reach out to them, or they will find out by themselves. and come to us. அது பிரச்சனையே இல்லை. இப்போ என்னன்னா எல்லாருமே வந்து இப்போ இன்னைக்கு முதல் நாள் இவங்க ரெண்டு பேர் தான் இன்னைக்கு வந்து ரெண்டு பேர் தான் இதை இனிஷியேட் பண்ணிருக்காங்க. ஸோ ஹிஸ்டரி அவங்க ரெண்டு பேருக்காக வந்து வந்து have to be definitely வந்து keep a separate for them because any small initiative by individuals like this வந்து sustained with dedication பண்ணும்போது it will reach to greater heights. So I don't want to talk too much also because one of the feedbacks I got very recently from the students வந்து உங்க மாதிரி அங்கிள்லாம் பேசாமல் இருக்கவே மாட்டேங்கிறீங்க அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க. அதனால நான் வந்து ஒன்லி ஃபெசிலிட்டேட்டர். நான் வந்து இந்த ஜூம் ஃபெசிலிட்டேட் பண்றது எல்லாமே திஸ் இஸ் கோயிங் டு பி அப்சல்யூட்லி யுவர் ஷோ. நாங்கள் யாருமே இருக்க மாட்டோம். இந்த 1 hour வந்து யார் யாரெல்லாம் என்னென்ன புக் ரிவ்யூ பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறீங்களோ நெக்ஸ்ட் வீக்ல இருந்து நீங்க வந்து வாட்ஸ்அப் குரூப்ல வந்து ஆட் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ நவ் Trisha, go ahead. I wish you all the very best. You're doing an amazing job. Sashi, be ready with your reviews. Okay. Endல வந்து இப்போ
Sure, sir.
yeah. In the end, around 6:15, 6:20, if you can, both of you can finish. நம்ம இந்த ஃபோரம் ஓபன் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ தட் யார் யாரெல்லாம் என்னென்ன இருக்கோ கொஞ்ச நேரம் இன்ட்ரடியூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம், பேசலாம், தெரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். Then
Yeah.
after that, by 6:30, we can wind it up. Thank you. Go ahead. All the best.
Thank you, sir. So yes, now I'll begin with the second review. As in, I'm doing 2 books today. One was Madame Bovary by Gustav Flaubert, and the other it is A Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. The thing is, this book is very special because it inspired me to write a poetry itself. I have written a poem on it as well. So this book, written by Madeline Miller, it is based on an epic called Iliad, which is like like a Greek version of Mahabharatam, but it like completely different, but it has the same stature. So in the epic நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா it is based on Greek mythology. So and the Trojan War. So the background is Trojan War, and it begins with how Paris he kidnaps Helen of Troy. அந்த டைம்ல மோஸ்ட் பியூட்டிஃபுல் உமனா கருதப்பட்டாங்க. ஸோ அந்த டைம்ல when Paris declares, Athena, she's another goddess, Greek goddess. அவங்கள வந்துட்டு when he says she is the most beautiful, she says I'll bring you Helen. So at that time, Paris will be like, he goes on and he kidnaps Helen, and the thing is, she's married to Menelaus, the king of Troy. So that triggers the Trojan War because Paris, when he kidnaps it, the Greeks will be in his side. So another Trojans and Greeks will be in a war. In the war, or a Greek warrior, he was like the most like greatest Greek warrior called Achilles. So என்னன்னா அந்த எபிக்ல வந்துட்டு he has a friend like அப்படின்னு மென்ஷன் பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. பட் ஆனா ஹோமர் வந்துட்டு ரொம்ப like subtle, he is very subtle. He shows that Achilles was much more than a friend to this guy called Patroclus. He's also a fellow warrior. So they are like from childhood they know each other. So in this book, Song of Achilles, Madeline Miller, she explores their relationship. As in the book வந்துட்டு full it will be in Patroclus' perspective. So when we see things from his perspective, we get to know that the epic Iliad, it was much more than just bloodshed. It was also like there's also a heartbreaking love story behind it. So in this book, we can see from childhood to teenagehood to adulthood, like how they progress over their relationship and how they break all the society's barriers. At that time also, it wasn't much welcomed upon when men and men love each other. So this book is very special to me. That's why I really wanted to mention it here. So I would really recommend this book to everyone here. Literature lovers, I think you guys will find this book very enlightening to you. Also, if you have time, do research on Iliad, Homer's Iliad, because இங்க வந்துட்டு மகாபாரதம் மாதிரி அங்க வந்துட்டு Iliad. It's very, very awesome. So yes, with this, I end my review. Now I invite Sashi to give her review.
Thank you so much, Trisha.
Welcome.
Sir, can I turn on the video right now?
Yeah, please, you can. Please, go ahead.
Sir, am I audible?
You are very much audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, sir. Um, Good evening, everyone. My name is Sashi. I'm pursuing my third year of BA English Literature in SRM Ramapuram. I'm also an UPSC aspirant. Me and Krisha, when we opted for this internship with Dr. Olivanan sir, which I'm very thankful for because he has given us such great opportunity here. We got to explore, this side of us, that book reviewers. Which this is my first time reviewing a book. Actually, I have done movie reviews with Trisha in my class, but this is a very great opportunity because I have read so much books, but I've never reviewed any of them. So this is my first time doing this, and I hope you all like what I'm sharing here. And this is a forum for book readers like you, avid book readers who are interested in so many books, and this is open for discussing whatever you feel, your thoughts, your perspectives, and your opinions on books that you have read. So yes, I hope most of many of you who are here will also join the next book review that we conduct. Let me start off with the book that I've read. This is Paulo Coelho's The Spy. This was the first book that I bought as in my school. I guess many of you heard of this name, Paulo Coelho. So Paulo Coelho is one of the most influential contemporary writers. He has sold somewhat like 30 international selling books. He's most famous for his work called The Alchemist. I guess many of you would have read it. So there, it was going crazy in this in the book circle like few years back when it got released. Yes, let me start off with a small introduction of this book. So I had no idea when I bought this book. I just read at the back page of what it deals with and bought because it was so interesting. I was in my eighth grade, I assume. This book deals with especially a woman called Mata Hari. It's a historical fiction. This book centers around historical fiction, and it deals about how a woman is trying to find a place in the society and how she's doing anything for her survival in the society. So it's based in the France. It's based in France during the World War One. And a woman called Mata Hari, as you can see in the book's cover page, this woman is called Mata Hari. Her name is Margareta Giotto Zell. This woman was a courtesan and she was an entertainer and she was a dancer and oh my god, what and all is she? She knew how to live her life. I guess I didn't know that Trisha also had a similar story, or I mean, the book that we were both are going to discuss. I thought she would be going for something fictional, but I mean, more fictional and something to do with Greek mythologies and everything. But turns out we both have a similar plot that is powerful women as the protagonist. Mata Hari, is was a courtesan. Actually, she's a Dutch person. She traveled to France and she settled there. So during that time, she was a courtesan. She learned Oriental dance, Oriental dance of the East. That is the Indonesian Oriental dance and everything. So she taught herself the dance and she wanted to become a courtesan and entertainer in France. The country was at war at that time, and there was not the situation of women and how women were treated was very worse. Like women were not given as much as significance as men. How we have all read in the history, they were just treated as mere objects of pleasure and like a position. They were seen as just as a position and nothing else other than that. So this is how the story starts. This book consists of 186 pages and it's very short, but it's very good, is what I'll say. So I have actually read this book somewhat like thrice, yeah, 2.5 times, yeah. And the first time I read it, I couldn't wrap my head around it because I was in my school at that time, and this was pretty much heavy for me. And now that I've read it, twice, I love this book and something that women would like to read in the literature is what I say. This novel is divided into three parts. This begins with the epilogue and chapters, and then a prologue. Uh, it in the at the starting of the novel, The novel begins with the Mata Hari's execution by the French army, by the French espionage army, and due to her conviction of being a spy for the German, because she is a German, she is a Dutch woman. But it was convicted on the basis of no evidence. There was like no evidence presented against her, but she was convicted and she was later executed. So this whole novel is nothing but is based on the letters written by Mata Hari to her lawyer, that is Clunet, and Clunet writing her writing her letters back to her. So the whole novel is based on it, and it's a historical fiction. As you can see, there are facts, and Mata Hari is an was an actual person. But what Paulo Coelho has done here is that he has mixed history and fiction, and it's a beautiful blend of both. So he did explore much of Mata Hari's life, but at most of the life part he omitted little bit of it, but he expanded on other parts as well. So the details of the Mata Hari's life begins with her execution on October 15, 1917 in Paris. So her story fits in the historical fiction that I just said. So she's a dancer, she's a dancer, a courtesan, what we can say, a performer, an entertainer, and in this the whole story begins in World War I, when the France was in war with the other countries. So the evidence against her was like never presented. So Mata Hari, is a woman who had a very troubled past. That I'll say, she was raped by her school principal, and she couldn't take it, so she couldn't tell it out loud, because she was afraid that she will be expelled from the school, or she will be kept apart from the social circle she was in. So she always suppressed whatever she has went through, and she has molded herself into a very strong and an independent woman. So yeah, in her life she has met so many men, and she has swept every man off the feet. She was very charming. She was very beautiful, and her looks were one of the things that she used to get whatever she wanted. So she, how to say, in a society that confines women in households, that makes women look like possession, you know, uh, in men's life, Mata Hari started to redefine her whole individuality, to redefine the whole meaning, the definition of being a woman in such society. So her whole life is explained here by the letters with her lawyer, that is Clunet. So at the start, she describes how she was raped as a 16-year-old by her high school principal, and later it moves on to an abusive marriage that she had with a guy called Rudolph. I was surprised when Trisha mentioned the protagonist husband's name, that was also Rudolph. So yeah, she also had a very abusive marriage with her husband, and she couldn't take it. Her husband was from the Russian army, so her whole life takes change, a whole 360-degree change. Then one of her husband's colleague's wife commits suicide, and she comes to know about this, and she bottled up everything. She was like, she endured all the abuse and trauma that she faced in her life till then, but she couldn't take it anymore. So she decided, okay, I'm gonna flee from here. So she left her children and everyone, and she moved to France to start a new life. So basically, she taught herself a dance performance by the people of Indonesia. It's an Oriental dance form, like Oriental dance forms that are especially significant in the East, Asia. So she taught that herself, and she moved to start a very whole new life in France. So when she came to France, it was very different, because at that time, there was a clear cultural demarcation between the French and the German and the Dutch. Like, there was difference. Even though they all come under the whole European umbrella, there was like a whole new difference, the language and everything, and there was this tension. There was this political tension. So Paulo Coelho here, he tries to, clearly put in the political tension, the war, women's dignity in hands, and everything into pen. It's beautiful because he places the historical fiction with the political background as the primary source, and then he just covers up women's life story at whole. So she went to Paris where she presented herself nudity in her dances, which was very frowned upon at that time. But she thought nudity was, how to say, a key to freedom. She believed in nudity in her dances, and she crafted it. I wouldn't say she exposed her body; she crafted it. Even in here in one of the pictures, yeah. So yeah, this picture, it was, when I saw it, I was very shocked because it is nudity. So, but later I got to know that she loved herself in this, in her journey. It was like more of like a self journey. She wanted to learn what she was capable of, and she presented it. She got whatever she wanted. She began this, raising popular women in the French society. She got whatever she wanted. Men, money, and then fame, and everything was behind her in a very short span of time. Not to mention that she was executed during the age of 41 years old. Her dance included nudity, as I was saying, but she believed that nudity was meaningful, to the context of dance and the existence of a female dancer. She lived a comfortable life, very comfortable life. She always got what she wanted. But because of the money she earned through, dancing, she only was willing to have affairs with, how to say, influential men. She wanted to gain the spot in the society, and because of that, she was always termed as a prostitute. That's what people thought. People assumed of her, but in reality, she was not that. She spent, how to say, romantic escapades in the arms of many men, and she knew how to dominate them. Like just like what Trisha's protagonist here she was saying about. She knew how to get a hold of a man's, mind and heart, and she used it to gain her place in the society. So as we can say that she used, her partner relationships as a way to get whatever she wanted, and she knew like how it's going to benefit her career and her future. So Mata Hari's popularity, like I don't know, it began to boom in France as she became older. So like I often feel, this is a personal opinion. I often feel there is this thing with the beauty industry that the more older the women get, the more how to say, they are excluded from the beauty industry. Their value drops and everything. As you can see, most of the actresses are being, even models, who are seen in the runways. The more older they get, they stop, coming into the business. So this was not the case of Mata Hari though. She was like, the more older she got, the more appreciation, the more popularity, the more fame she got. And so when she was, at the top of her career, she was, lured by a man called Franz Olaf. So this Franz guy, what he does, he promises her a very, more popular future in Germany. So she accepts that and she goes to Germany, and she meets him and everything. And what this guy does, he somehow tries to convince her to be a spy for the German army. But Mata Hari, in the first place, refuses it, and she says, "No, I'm not going to, betray my country." Despite being, France not being her country, she still took a stand and said she's not going to betray her country. But what this guy did, Franz Olaf, he was like, actually, the situation in the war countries, the World War was very worse. That the countries, all of their savings, all of their money, all of the, gold, everything they had, they profited, they benefited everything on the army and artilleries and in the war. So they didn't benefactor the rising courtesans, the art, literature, and whatever was it. So the people in the European World War during the Europe were suffering, mostly the artists, like be it a courtesan, be it a literature, be it a writer, be it a novelist, be it a poet, everyone were suffering because they couldn't benefactor their works. So at the time, the war was a thing, main thing. So all the countries' government profited through the war. So this France guy says that okay, it seems that you don't have a future here because they're shutting down the theater and performances and everything in the Germany. So he offers her a next deal, that is being a spy for the Germany, but she refuses it. So what she does, what this guy does, this guy gives her a tip to another guy. His name is Karl Kramer. So this guy is a German consul in Hague. So he says, Mata Hari, you go and meet this guy. He will help you get back to France. But what happens? She goes there, and that even that guy also, somehow tries to recruit her as a spy for the German army. Again, Mata Hari refuses this, and she goes to France straight away to the France's espionage service. She goes there and she says that the people I've been to Germany and people there are trying to recruit me as a spy. But what happened? The guy did. His name is Ladox. Ladox. So this guy doesn't believe her, and he solely bases all of his assumptions and starts to go behind Mata Hari, and he tries to execute her. He tries to get her convicted for a crime which she actually did not commit, but this is still a debate whether she did it or not, because Mata Hari is often symbolized with how to say the femme fatale that we often come across the term for alluring women or conniving women. So she's often, whenever there is a term of femme fatale, Mata Hari is often referred in the history, in the French history. So there is a debate going on whether she was actually a spy or whether she was not, but they didn't have any evidence against Mata Hari. So she was arrested in her own hotel room. And while she was having her breakfast, she was arrested. The detailing of Paulo Coelho is what I like in this book. Like even the smallest details. He starts with the color of her hair and the robe, the silk robe that she wore. She was fond of extravagant things like pearls, robes, and jewelry, and many more ornaments that she often decorated herself with. So as you can see, this woman was in love with herself. She was in awe with herself. Even though she was in the arms of many men, she wanted, a validation for herself. She didn't, chase it behind men. Like most of, I don't know whether you people have read this book. It's a play. It's called Streetcar Named Desire, which we had last semester. So in this play, I would like to, bring a contrast here. In this play, the women in the play often seek validation from men. So the main protagonist women, Stella and Belle, Blanche. So Blanche often tries to seek, validation from men, and her whole life was based on men. She always tried to lure men in her romantic escapades and everything, and at last she saw her own death. So that's what it happened in that play. It's called A Streetcar Named Desire. It's a very, famous play in English literature. And even Marlon Brando, the very famous actor, has acted in the movie that was made out of it. So as you can see, women during the industrial period, in the 1950s and 40s, they were mostly desperate. They were, even though there was a rising, place for them in the society, them going to work in the industries and everything. There was industrial revolution that changed the whole concept of society, the difference between men and women. So the difference here is that Mata Hari was not like that. She did not base her whole life on men. even though she liked the romance and the what do I say, kindness, love, she got from the men, she did not, you know, uh, how to say, she did not base her own personality on men. She wanted to earn a place for herself in the society, and she did that. She did that. That's why that's why we are reading about a historical figure that is Mata Hari right now. So yes, so the final, fourth of the novel is composed by a letter by Clunet, the lawyer. So as you can see, whenever Mata Hari wrote to Clunet, she was very how to say, she put her heart into those letters, not because she liked Clunet or something, but this all these letters which are combined into the book were for her daughter, because she did not want her daughter figure in life. So what she did, she wrote all these letters and she gave it to Clunet, saying that you deliver it when you come in contact with my daughter. So that's what she did, and her daughter, she had two children. Yeah, her daughter. So in the last letter, Clunet writes to Mata Hari saying that, see, I like you and that I'm in love with you. And he argues that, they both often have arguments in their letters. Mata Hari will be, blaming Clunet for not taking a good, stances in the cases and everything. But he'll be saying, no, 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 the argument that I presented in the court, it was valuable. And like that, they'll be having these tiny, tiny arguments. And so he told her that whatever you're being executed, for, that is very unjustifiable because there are no evidence against you. And he describes the circumstances that are, to make Mata Hari a scapegoat was by the guy called Lurex, that is in the French espionage. He says all these circumstances were just to favor him from a case. It's called a Dreyfus case. That he had some trouble going on with his own life, so he somehow used Mata Hari's situation as a key to escape his own problems. So I would say that they were all intimidated by these women. They were like, when a woman coming out of the social conventions, breaking the social conventions and barriers and boundaries, and she's being a rebel in a society where women are just seen as position. She was intimidated. She was, men were intimidated by her. They thought her like, okay, she's different from the women that we have seen in our lives, and they enjoyed her company. They enjoyed her company. They enjoyed her beauty. They desired for her, and they fell in her feet. And they, I guess she liked the attention and the praise, the fame she got. It was like dopamine for her. It was like dose for her. That she wanted to gain popularity even in Germany, being her birthland. She wanted to, gain popularity even there. So at the last, this is what I write. So at the last, this guy, Clunet, he says that whatever you're executed for, one day God will pass judgment for the people who are wrongly executed. For their crimes, like people who are wrongly executed. This is what happens in the justice system. I shouldn't generalize it, but still, uh, this is a very common thing that that people, be it a women or a men, are often wrongly executed for their crimes, even without being properly investigated. And so he says that only God will pass the judgment. He says that only God has the whole rights in his hand. Say probably, I guess this symbolifies symbolizes the heaven concept in Christianity, that often says, God's judgment will come, and then that is the only thing that matters and everything. So yes, so this is the whole summary of it, and there is a lot of how to say it, themes that are present here. Most famous one is the historical fiction. Next is a women's power, a power play, political power play, and third will be a woman's plight in a society, and how her rise and fame in the society is leading her to the own destruction. So even in the in this book there isn't any quotes, but in most of the copies that were printed in the Europe, there was that quote that said the only crime of Mata Hari was she being independent women. So at the time, independency of women was not a thing at all. It was like a myth, like which Mata Hari busted. So like women were often, women were primarily how to say, the primary source was of women was just to be married to a man, just to birth child, and just to look after the family. So this was until the industrial revolution that was boomed in the 40s and 30s. So which Mata Hari broke. She left her own family behind, her daughter, her husband, and she fled to make a whole new life for herself. And that is something what I wouldn't say that is what makes her outstanding, because I solely believe that her how to say, her guts and her way of taking things in hand, like how she handles herself, even knowing that she was wrongly convicted. She had she did not try to win it back, or like she did not try to prove her point or anything, but she was like so done with the society that somehow, even though she tried to run away from whatever life she had as a kid, as a woman, as a teen, everything, she's again put back to the same circle, being falsely executed. I think there's I think like how to say, the execution here, the conviction here is itself like a symbol for how her life has whole been like a jail for her, like her teenage, her abusive childhood, her abusive marriage, and everything. It was like she was confined in those four walls with her husband, and then now she's again convicted and executed in a prison. So it it's like she started from nothing and she's again ends her life with nothing. So I like to end this review with a quote that I liked in this book. So the caged bird may sing of freedom, but it will still live in prison. Thea agreed to live in the cage, then wanted to escape, but no one helped because no one understood. So this is a song that a street beggar sings on Mata Hari's way to meet the Karl Kramer. So it's very beautiful, is what I believe. It's very sad and it just reflects her reality. The caged bird may sing of freedom, that it will keep on crying for help, to be unbounded by the cage, but it will still live in prison. Tia agreed to live in the cage, then wanted to escape, but no one helped. So it's similar to what her life was, is what I feel. She agreed to live in the cage, but then she wanted to escape. So she escaped her abusive marriage and everything, but no one helped. Even her husband didn't, help her with money or anything. She was left all alone. She was an independent woman. She was striving for her life because no one understood. At the end of the day, no one understood her, is what I'll say. All the men in her life, being be it her husband, be it her father, be it the people in her childhood or the men she met in France, no one actually believed her. No one actually, they all liked her, but no one, took a stand with her except for Clunet. Clunet was an exception there. Because he was in love with her, that's a thing. As you can see, even the French espionage, he was also he did not even believe her, being it there was no evidence on her. He didn't believe her. So as you can see, an independent woman is nothing. Is nothing in a society where all of the women are bounded to follow the social conventions. But when a woman breaks out of the those conventions, she's treated as a misfit. She's often kept apart. She's expelled from the society, and often it leads to her own destruction. So this is the review that I have done on the book. Hope you all liked it, and I'd like to thank Dr. Olivan sir for giving me this opportunity, and Trisha for coordinating with this. Actually, she took all the works because I was, I had held up with some work. So thank you, Tisha, and thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And I welcome you all to the next book review forum that we are going to conduct. And hope you all, like to share your views and perspectives of the books that you have read. Thank you.
Thank you, Sashi, for your review. It was wonderful. And I was also equally surprised by how similar the books are. And also, I think I found one little difference.
Please switch on your video and talk whenever, please.
I think Gustav Flaubert, he gave a tragic flaw for the heroine, but the Paulo Coelho, he actually elevated her. So, yes. Thank you, Sashi, for your review.
Thank you, Tisha.
Yes, and those who wish to ask questions and give your perspectives on the book reviewed, please raise your hands.
I'll do one thing. I'll unmute everyone so that those who are interested can ask questions. Or otherwise, everyone can introduce themselves with name and the college.
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead. I'll unmute everybody. They can unmute and talk by themselves right away. Anybody interested to speak can unmute themselves and please ask a question. Or you can say something about this. This is the first day of this historical event. So you can also share your thoughts. நீங்க கூட பேசலாம். Yes, Abhinav, go ahead. You can talk. Abhinav. Barkatunisha, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. I just want to know last book review, proper book title, sir.
Yes, whenever whoever wish to talk, we would appreciate if they can switch on their video also. Please answer the question.
Yeah, so the book's title is The Spy. So as you can see, it's The Spy by Paulo Coelho. And it's just 300 rupees that I bought in my school book fair. So this is the author, this is Paulo Coelho, the famous author of the Alchemist book that you may have come across. So it's called The Spy.
Anybody is interested to review a book next week or would like to say something before we wind up? Organizers, please take care.
So my question is for Trisha.
Switch on your video, please.
Oh, sure.
The camera is not working actually, sorry.
That's okay.
You
That's okay.
mentioned in your book review that some events took place in the French society, and we can read that book mainly to learn about that too. And what were the few events that took place there?
You mean the background of the novel?
No, about the French society.
Oh, about the French society. Well, you see, the corruption of the police can also be seen and how men get away with things. When after she died, the people she had an affair with, they were questioned by the police, but they easily got away. Even when a constable, suspected, Leon, he just let them off. So there is this patriarchal things which can be seen. And also how Madame Bovary herself became. Like in the beginning, she was so respected by everyone, but when the affairs, was known by people, she was treated like how to say, a literal like prostitute. Even though she, at the end of the day, at the end of the novel, she actually, gave away her dignity. But the way she was treated was so contrasting, which shows how women who come out of that conventional roles will be treated at that time in the French society. And also French realism can be seen because at that time there was industrialization. Okay, after the 100 Years War, the France was, it was progressing. So during the industrialization there was a lot of, power dynamics and political power plays happening. So like Sashi said, how the like women were only expected to get married and give birth. But Madame Bovary, she went against all of that, all of which was not exactly embraced by the people, or even the book itself was considered controversial when it was published. And also this book also has an adaptation if you would like to check it out. It's done by Ketan Mehta. It's in Hindi film though, so if you want you can see it. Also, another thing I would say is, how to say, she has a tragic flaw, right? So this also shows the author's perspective also. So the men also, how they viewed women who were very progressive. This can also be seen in the novel. Okay, does that answer your question? Is it fine? Okay. You should definitely read this book. It's wonderful. It's a classic. Even I didn't show the book actually. Well, I would like to show it now. So you can see the illustration shows of a woman who's so like dissatisfied. There is jewelry on the table, but she doesn't look at the jewelry. She doesn't look at the shiny things. She's looking away and holding that chair for dear life and just being in a very gloomy manner. So that's Madame Bovary. So she is like a fallen Femme Fatale, if I have to say.
Haripriya, you can ask your question, please.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, all. I'm Haripriya from Stella Maris College. I'm currently doing my BA third year sociology. I didn't have any questions or reviews according to them what they reviewed, but I want to tell my experience in the first section first of all. நான் எதிர்பார்க்கல லைக் இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய லிட்ரேச்சர்ஸ் ஆசையா விருப்பப்பட்டு வாசிக்கிற சில மாணவர்களுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஆன்லைன்ல அவங்களும் அவங்களுக்கு படிச்ச சிந்தனைகளை அவங்களுக்கு பிடிச்ச விஷயங்கள் எல்லாத்தையுமே பகிர்ந்து கொள்றதுக்கு ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் வந்து நீங்க கொடுக்கறது வந்து ரொம்ப பார்க்க ரொம்ப இதா ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ எக்ஸ்பெக்ட் பண்ணும் போது ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியா இருக்கு. அண்ட் தென் இது மாதிரி நிறைய பீப்புள்ஸ் நான் புக் ரிவ்யூஸ் பண்ணி வீடியோஸ் போட்டு பார்த்துருக்கேன். அது நிறைய ஆன்லைன்ல நம்மளால பண்ண முடியுமா அப்படிலாம் யோசிச்சிருக்கேன். பட் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் எங்களை மாதிரி ஒரு மாணவர்களுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸ் கொடுத்து நீங்க படிச்ச புத்தகத்தை நீங்க வந்து உங்களோட ஒப்பீனியன் என்ன அப்படின்னு நீங்க சொல்லி மற்ற ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் அதால இன்ஸ்பயர் ஆகி அவங்களுக்கு என்ன தோணுதோ கொஸ்டின்ஸ் எல்லாம் கேட்கறது வந்து ரொம்ப ஒரு அற்புதமான ஒரு இதுன்னு சொல்லலாம். அதுல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டே நான் வந்து பார்ட்டிசிபேட் பண்ணதுக்கு ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியா ஃபீல் பண்றேன். அண்ட் தென் த்ரிஷா அண்ட் சசி வந்து ரொம்ப அழகாவே அவங்களோட ஒப்பீனியனையும் அவங்களோட புக் ரிவ்யூவோட ஒரு புக்கு படிக்கணும்னா எப்படி எங்க இருந்து எது முடிக்கணும் அப்படின்னு எங்க படிச்சு எங்க தொடங்கி எங்க முடிக்கணும் அப்படின்றத ரொம்ப அழகா ரெண்டு பேருமே சொன்னாங்க. அடுத்த வாரம் நானும் ஒரு புக் ரிவ்யூ வந்து கொடுக்கணும்னு ரொம்ப ஆசைப்படுறேன். தேங்க்யூ.
எக்ஸலண்ட் ஹரிப்பிரியா. நாங்க உண்மையாவே வந்து இதுதான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் மீட்டிங். இந்த மீட்டிங்ல கலந்துக்கிட்ட 20 பேர் வந்து டெஃபினட்டா வந்து they will go into the record books. இது வந்து ஒரு ஸ்மால் இனிஷியேட்டிவ் தான். ஏன்னா நம்ம நிறைய ஆன்லைன்ல ப்ரெசன்ஸ் இருக்கு. பட் ஒரு 1 hour 45 to 1 minutes to 1 hour வந்து நம்மளால ஒவ்வொரு ஞாயிற்றுக்கிழமை கொடுக்க முடிஞ்சதுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன். ஒவ்வொரு வாரமும் நம்ம ஏதோ ஒரு புத்தகத்தை வந்து இன்னைக்கு சசியும் ட்ரிஷாவும் பண்ணாங்க, நாளைக்கு வந்து நீங்க கூட பண்ணலாம், அது பிரியா மற்றவங்களும் பண்ணலாம். இதுக்கு வந்து ஒரு நல்ல ஃபோரம். ஒரே ஒரு விஷயத்த மட்டும் ப்ராமிஸ் பண்ணிடுறேன், நான் வந்து வெறும் ஃபெசிலிட்டேட்டரா வந்து உங்களுக்கு மீட்டிங் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணுவேன் உங்களுக்கு. பட் இந்த மீட்டிங்கை முழுக்க வந்து ரன் பண்ண போறது நீங்க தான். என்ன புத்தகம் அப்படிங்கறது டிசைட் பண்ண போறது நீங்க தான். கிட்டத்தட்ட ஒரு 60-70 பேர் வந்து அந்த கூகுள் ஃபார்ம் ஃபில்அப் பண்ணி அனுப்பியிருக்காங்க. ரொம்ப எக்ஸ்டென்சிவா அனுப்பல. ஏன்னா as I said in the beginning of this program, this is only for the people who are interested in literature. யாருக்கெல்லாம் படிக்கணும்னு ஆசை இருக்கோ அவங்களுக்கு மட்டும்தான். ஸோ வீக் ஆஃப்டர் வீக் நம்ம ஏதோ ஒரு புத்தகத்தை கேட்கும்போது டெஃபினெட்லி வி வில் என்ரிச் அவர் செல்ஸ். ரொம்ப சந்தோஷம் ஹரிப்பிரியா. நீங்க உங்களுடைய ஃபீட்பேக் வெரி குட். நான் ஓவர் டு அவர் 2 கோஆர்டினேட்டர்ஸ். இவங்க 2 பேர் தான் இப்போ கோஆர்டினேட்டரா ஆக்ட் பண்றாங்க. நாங்க வந்து ஒரு கோர் டீம் மாதிரி அவங்களை ஃபார்ம் பண்ண சொல்ல போறேன். அந்த கோர் டீம்ல யாரெல்லாம் இன்ட்ரெஸ்டா இருக்குங்க நீங்க உள்ள வரலாம். ஸோ தட் யூ கேன் ஆல் ஷேர் ஒர்க். நாங்கள் ஏற்கனவே வாரங்கள் படிப்போம் ஒரு குரூப் வச்சுப்போம். அதெல்லாம் கிட்டத்தட்ட 400 ஷோஸ் மேல அவங்க பண்ணிட்டாங்க. 400 புக்குக்கு மேல பல பீட்ஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அதுலயும் அது மாதிரி ஒரு கோர் டீம் தான் வந்து ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஸோ தேங்க்யூ ஹரி. ஓவர் டு சசி அண்ட் த்ரிஷா.
Actually, thank you so much, Haripriya. It means a lot. ரொம்ப ரொம்ப நன்றி. நீங்க பேச தமிழ் ரொம்ப அழகா இருந்துச்சு. And I think it will be like a huge wonderful thing நீங்க வந்துட்டு பண்ணீங்கன்னா. So we'll be looking forward to you. நீங்க உங்களுக்கு பிடிச்ச புக்கை அழகா ரிவ்யூ பண்ணுங்க. And also thank you for your feedback too. எங்களுக்கும் அது ரொம்ப என்கரேஜிங்கா இருக்கு because this is the first time we are doing anything like this. So thank you so much.
Thank you, friends. We started at 5:30. We will close it at 6:30. வேற ஏதாவது சொல்றாருன்னா Shashi and Trisha சொல்லிருங்க, then we'll wind up. So final words from you guys. Thank you.
So final words are my thanks to you. Thanks for giving this opportunity. You actually encouraged us in our first session with you in Emerald Publishers. When we came there, we thought it would be fully internship, and we didn't expect that we would get such a good opportunity there. So thanks a lot, sir. Sir, then also I'd like to introduce my ma'am here. My college professor and Sumati ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, she's there. Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, Trisha,
yes,
I'm here, very much here. And
yes,
I didn't join on time.
Sashi
I just
speaking,
got
not
joined.
Trisha. Yes, sir. So
Sashi
Sumati
and
ma'am
Trisha
is
both. Yes,
Sumati
I'm
ma'am
here.
is one of our professors. Sorry, ma'am, I keep interrupting you. You can speak.
Okay. Actually, I joined as a very informal session. Probably I'll join in a very formal session in the forthcoming days. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Girls, if one of you can propose vote of thanks, we can wind up.
Sure, sir. And like Sashi said, we are very thankful for giving us this opportunity for us, and this is a very good experience for us also, for us to grow. And now we are feeling so encouraged. And thank you to Sumati ma'am also for gracing this event. And would like to apologize, I couldn't I forgot to send you the link, but either way, I'm very happy that you could join this event. So also I would like to thank all the participants for patiently listening to us, and and for some of them who were like so forthcoming about your views, and for the encouraging words that you spoke. So thanks to everyone. And so if, I really would like for you to look forward to our future events, and it will be much more better, and in a grander scale as it goes and goes, and as more participants begin to brace our event. And we will do a much better job at this, and we'll make sure that it is always like going to be like a safe space for literature lovers. So thank you, everyone.